Hello, howdy! Welcome to my channel. This is the Windy in Neverland channel. We talk about cross-stitch things. We talk about things I do around my house, my yard. We talk about adventures that I take away from my house. We talk about all kinds of fun things. Whatever seems to pop up and I want to talk about. We are going to have some fun today. So let's jump right in there because I got a feeling this is going to be a long one because there's just so many things to cover. It's been a little over a month, probably actually more than a little over a month and a half, because I was gone for 2 weeks, about the time when I probably would have done another video. So it's been a little bit longer than normal. So we got a lot to cover and I was doing a lot during that time I was gone. Just to kind of fill in on some updates of things that I've been doing around here before I went on my vacation. So in May, I started working on my front yard. It had some dips and divots, kind of uneven, enough that it was a problem. This backyard needs a little bit of just kind of more aesthetic looking things, but the front yard, it had some problems that really needed to be addressed. So I filled those in, and then I planted seed so that I could I want the grass to grow in those spots. So I had to do that. Hopefully the wind doesn't play havoc with the volume. I really wanted to be out here today. It's a lovely day, in the shade anyway. The problem with planting grass seed, or really a lot of any seeds, is you have to keep it wet. So you have to water it like multiple times a day, all the time, keeping it wet, because if they dry out, they're gonna die. So I did that and everything was growing and it was doing great, and I had to leave instructions for my husband to take care of it while I was gone, and he did pretty good. There is some spots in the front yard and kind of corner areas that he didn't necessarily get as well. And I did tell him there's a strip down the center of our driveway because we have gravel, and then there's a center of grass that has grass in it. And I had fixed some of those spots, and I did tell him to do the driveway, but I didn't put it down in the written instructions, even though I verbally said it. And so he didn't really water the driveway. It didn't kill all of the seeds, but it did, or the new grass, I should say, because everything seemed to be coming up. But not all of the little baby grass survived. So I'm trying to take care of the stuff that did, and then deciding if I'm just going to live with it this summer or put more seed down. So I was doing that. Like I said, I might get to the backyard here and kind of just do some touch up in some spots. I'll have to see, because now that the weather is getting warmer, it's harder to keep it wet, and I just don't know. I don't know if it's going to work for this year. Some of the other things I've been doing is going through photo boxes. These are not my boxes. These are my mother-in-law's. These are photos that she had. And we're not talking the little, cute little boxes that people would store photos in. We're talking moving boxes. So, chock full of not only photos, but other memorabilia stuff, but mostly photos. So I've been going through those. Probably 99% of it gets thrown away because, back in the day when we did photos, we would get duplicates, if not triplicates, I don't know, to hand to other people that we needed to give pictures to. So there's a lot of duplicates, didn't need all of those. Plus there was stuff that I might have already had and I didn't need them, or people I didn't have a clue were, or places that, blurry pictures that she kept, or, we don't need 6 pictures of the same rock. It's all that kind of stuff. So going through a lot of that stuff. Now, the fun thing about going through that is seeing some old pictures of my husband, or, just things, memorabilia they might have collected. So how many of you might have been in the $6 million Steve Austin fan club? Huh? It's just kind of fun when you get to see all this kind of stuff, and I don't know who it was. I don't know if it was my husband or if it was his mom. I have no idea. I would hope it was my husband because he would have been a kid at that time. But yeah, there's you find lots of little treasures, but you know, it's you really have to dig for them because you're not keeping everything in those boxes. You just don't need to. And if you have an inkling and you feel like you can handle it, go through your stuff before your kids have to do it. I know I need to. I need to pare some stuff down. I don't necessarily keep everything as much as my mother-in-law did, but yeah, do it for the sake of your kids. Okay, I think we are going to move on to some stitching stuff and get into some whips and some new starts. Let's see. I'm kind of a flipping mess over here. And by the way, I'm out here and enjoying this lovely drink. This, in case you want to know, it's from Twinings. It's this stuff. It's an infusion type of thing. You put it in cold water. It's these little pack. I'll pull one of these out so you can see. Come on. These little guys. So you put one of those in the water, shake it, you know, kind of stir it up a little bit, a couple of times. For 5 minutes, you just kind of let it sit and do its thing, and it turns into this. This particular one is watermelon mint. It doesn't sound pleasant, but it tastes so, so good. I'm telling you right now, if you like watermelon flavored things, then you would probably like this, I would think. So it's yummy. And because it's hot out here, and I mean, it's just an infusion, so you don't have the sugar, you don't have any of the other stuff. It's just a nice, refreshing, flavored water type of thing. So that's that, in case you're interested. Yeah, and all my stuff is just kind of laying here and not a really good order. So let's see how we can do it with this. I'm going to pull out one that is kind of already out of its bag, and I'm pretty much finished with it. I just have the tiniest little things left to do, and I don't know if I'll show it to you again because it's finished enough that I don't need to show it again. So it is this one. This is just one I got at Walmart, believe it or not, at Walmart. If you've heard me talk about this before, you know that I had to cut off just the tiniest little bit of the stitching on this side because they did not give me a big enough piece of fabric in order to have borders to finish putting it in a frame or whatever else. So here it is. Isn't it lovely? I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's so nice. Now, the part that I still need to do. So let me see if I can find the parts. So I'm going to fold this. If you look at the lettering, it's nice and, you know, filled in. It looks good. If you look at this part, it's not, it's the X's and everything, but what I did was I outlined all of the letters. So you can see a difference between these letters and these letters over here. And that is what I need to finish. So I have, you know, basically through I and U, that's the only ones that I've outlined. The rest of them I still need to, but I'm getting there. The other thing that I changed, and I'm looking at this so I can see it, is I did not do all of the outlining. So I outlined the lighthouse here, but there was a lot of lining through the grass and I think through the sand or whatnot. I didn't feel that needed it. So I'll show you here. They've got some outlining here. They've got some outlining here. I probably need to still go back. I didn't even realize this. There is some grass sticking up. I need to go in and do that. I didn't notice that before. So I do need to do that part. The part that's obvious and adds to it, I will do. But outlining, I don't necessarily need to do. The stuff that lines the fence, they wanted you to use black. And I felt like that was too bold, too much of a contrast. I wanted a softer outline. So I just used kind of one of the grays. I'll let you look at that. So I just used one of the grays that came with it. So probably one of these. And that's what I used to outline the fence. So it kind of had more of the wood, weathered wood, but not too dark like the black. So it wouldn't be dark like this, where they outline the sailboat. But otherwise, it's lovely. I just love it. Can't wait to get it put up somewhere. Okay, so let me put this back in the bag so it's out of my way and protected since I am outside. The next one, let's see what we got. Okay, this is another whip. So this is something that I have shown before, and I haven't gotten a lot of work because before I left for my trip, I did not want to have to work on stuff that took up a lot of brain power. So that's why I worked on that beach one. I was also trying to finish some other stuff. So I was focusing on another piece as well as this. And it's just like, I put a lot of other things outside. Plus I was getting ready for my trip. So it's like, I didn't have time. So I did a tiny bit of work on this, not a lot. So here is, now I'm not going to show you the blue part because I've shown that before. So basically I just filled in some more of the red, not a lot of work, but I don't have a lot of pieces to show you. So I'm going to show you the stuff that I did work on. But just getting there. I've got all of the blue, the stars part done. So I'm like right here, about halfway. I've got to finish down here. And there we go. So not much to show you for that. Put this all back over there. Okay, let's see. I can't remember all of that's a new one. Okay, so I've got a couple of finishes of stuff you have seen before. This one is this. This is the one that I was using for my travels that I was going to add in different things for the states. Changed several different things about it. By the way, and I keep forgetting to mention this, do you see anything wrong with Wisconsin in this map? Wisconsin is missing its Upper Peninsula. I don't know why they didn't put the Upper Peninsula in there, so I did. So kind of, up in here, up in this area, I looked at a map and I just kind of gauged it the best that I could as I was stitching and making the outline for it, based on the size I had, as well as, whatever things I needed to kind of judge it by. So I did not put in all of the states because I was not going to be traveling to all of them, and it's just for my travels. So I've got like kind of right across here is where I did. Changed the lettering so that, it says the same thing, find joy in the journey, but it is a different kind of font. I found one that I liked better. And then I added the initials for the state. I added a symbol for the state, and I added the route I traveled on my journey. So here it be. It's glorious. Yes. So I only added the initials and the symbol for the states that I went through. So I'm going to show you this a little closer. So we got an apple, a beaver, a potato, some mountains, beehive, cowboy boot, a corn. I think that was just grass up there for North Dakota. I have to turn this around. An Indian head, Native American, a snowflake. Wisconsin has a cheese. We've got a hat, like a top hat, Lincoln's hat, a race car, and then a needle with thread. Now, that does not necessarily stand for Ohio, but that's what I was there for. So I put a needle and thread. So anyway, you can see the line that where I drove. I went the southern route to get there to Ohio, and then the northern route to come back. There were two areas that I made little detours so I wasn't staying on the interstate. And I'm going to talk more about this later as I travel. So one was Nebraska. If I had just come across, I would have stayed going right across, but I went north just a tad. And then the other one was in Wisconsin. You can see I veered off and then came back, because that's where I ended up staying the night. And in those places, that's why I veered off. This drop down here, that's just the way you come down. and then you come across Wyoming. You jump up and come across Wyoming there. That's just normal. And it normally comes down a little bit before it goes into Nebraska. So those parts are normal. It was the two that jump up in Nebraska and then off to the side in Wisconsin that were different deviations to the normal route. So there we are. I keep going back and forth about adding something kind of along the bottom parts here, and I'll talk about that later. Probably won't end up doing it, but man, I'd love to. The things that I ended up using, I got this book, and that helped me come up with the little symbols. So the beehive is because Utah's called the beehive state. Most of these were because they symbolize that Washington has apples. We're known as the beaver state in Oregon. Most of them symbolize something about their motto or their symbol for that state. The best that I could. The grass for North Dakota, because they're called like the Peace Garden state or something like that. How on earth are you going to stitch that? So North Dakota is just mostly grass. Woo, grass flowing around. So that's why I ended up doing that symbol for that one. We're going to move on to another finish that I did. And this is something that, so not only was I focusing on that, if I'm enjoying the journey one, to be prepared and ready for it when I left, but I was also focusing on this one because I wanted to have a finish at StitchCon. And that's this one. So Find Joy, or not Find Joy, this is the day, Plum Street Sampler. I was doing this as my Sunday night stitch with two stitchy friends for our group. So Pam and Nora were doing this with me. And I don't know if it was like the end of March or beginning of May or something like that. But, we're getting pretty down there. And if my hair is doing funky things, sorry, it's just going to stick up and be weird. We're getting close enough now. Would it be possible to do our finished stitches at StitchCon for this? So we just kind of really focused on these pieces more so than just having it done, working it on Sunday. Pam was not able to finish hers. She had a lot going on with her mother and other things, so she was not able to finish it. Nora did, so we were able to show ours at StitchCon, ring the bell, and here it is. So Nora had hers on more of a gray kind of fabric, so hers looked a little bit different, but pretty much the stitching was the same, except the only thing that I did different is in the saying down here, the normal thing is glad is in cursive and in red. I added Lord and rejoice in red as well because I wanted those words to stand out and be a focal piece as well. So that I changed. But I think everything else is just the way it calls for it. But it's lovely. It's lovely. The goats are fun. The bees are adorable. I'll get a little closer so you can kind of see some of this a little bit better. The house is a beast, in case you're wondering. So the part that I had to finish at StitchCon was all of this vine and flowers down at the bottom. Just that part I waited to finish. But other than that, I had it all done. So lovely. There it is. So glad that I was able to get that done. So those were the whips. I have two new starts that I wanted to show you. The first one I'm going to show you is what I'm going to refer to as my StitchCon start. Last year when I went to StitchCon, I did start. It was a Shannon Christine, the castle one that I've shown before, and I had finished that this year. So this one, I'm going to do Rodney. Rodney Rabbit was my start for StitchCon. So what I'm showing you is not all the stuff that I just did at StitchCon. I have done a little bit of work since I've been home on this, but I've gotten quite a bit done. So let me show you that. There he is. There's Rodney. He's awesome. He's so cute. Oh my gosh. I love it, love it, love it. So I'll show you up close so you can see kind of some of the stitching and the coloring and all that. I had to use something different for the fabric because I couldn't find it where I was at, so I ended up getting, it's crypt cloth, Lappin Loops, and I'm doing it on 36 count. So there's the tag. I got this at Country Sampler in Wisconsin, and so it's kind of got this pink shade to it that's showing up, which kind of looks like what's in the picture. I don't know, it's really hard to see that through the, you know, in the picture. And so it was close as I could get. So that's what I ended up using. I am doing it on the silks, not the DMC. So that will be, I think I did have to change Rodney, the color for Rodney. He normally calls, I don't know if I have that out. Well, I don't know what he calls for. I can't dig it out. What I am using instead is Gloriana, and it's Pewter Dark. It's what it's called. It has a little bit of variegation, just a little bit, but it's really close to what it looks like. I think also because of what we knew the call for color was when I was at Acorns and Threads, we kind of, I don't know if I just looked at the picture or if we looked at what the color of thread would be and tried to get as close, I don't remember. But anyway, I had to change that because I could not, they didn't have any of the color that I needed. So we ended up doing something a little bit different, but I think it looks great. The last piece that I'm going to show you that's a new start is this one. Forever in Peace is what it's called, and then it says May You Wave. That's the whole title, the whole saying, but the title of this piece is called Forever in Peace. Sweet Wing Studio is the one who does this. I believe I am changing the colors and I don't have them with me. It's the reds. The reds are much more kind of peachy. It's an odd red to be used, and I can see how it, I don't know, it just seems more not colors I really would like. So maybe the next time I have this out, I will let you know what it is. I'm trying to get the right setup, and this is what I've done so far. So I've got one of, I'll show you where you can compare what it is that I'm doing. So you can see down at the bottom, down here, that's the part I've done, as well as I've started the next. I didn't have the reds that I wanted, so I had to skip the red lines and started with the brown and whites. So, if you wanted to see that closer. So, that is my other new start since I have talked to you. So, that's what I have done so far in whips and new starts. We are going to move on to what I did this last couple weeks. Lots to talk about. Okay, we're going to play a little game. The game, so what I ended up doing is I went to StitchCon, as I have mentioned already. I decided to drive. And that's what that, you know, find joy in the journey. I camped along the way. I only got rained out, like totally rained out one night out of all the times that I was camping. Once I got to Ohio, I was staying in an Airbnb, so I wasn't camping there. So just camped along the way because I enjoy doing that. Plus it saved money. So it was a little easier to do it that way. So drove through a lot of states. A lot of states. I tried to take pictures or videos of either the road or the landscape or something as I went, to kind of memorialize, you know, the drive and whatnot. And by the way, I loved doing it. I know some people were like, that sounds horrific to me. I would never, ever, ever want to drive that far, that long. You are crazy. But I really did enjoy it. It was really nice. But as I was going and taking those pictures and videos, I thought, let's make a game out of this. So I am going to show you a little group of photos, videos, whatnot, and they're numbered, and the state that's represented may have more than one. I think all of them have at least two, if not more, types of pictures, photos, videos, whatnot. And some states are going to have more than others, because I just was either in the mindset to take the picture, take the video, or it had better things to look at, and so it was a little. But also, not every state was captured for this. I just didn't do some of them. Apologize for any of shakiness. I tried to clip the videos or whatnot so that to avoid that kind of stuff. Or also apologize for any bugs all over my windshield. I tried not to take pictures or videos when there was too much nastiness all over the windshield. So anyway, I am going to put that in now, and we're going to go through that as soon as we're done. Enjoy. hope you enjoyed that. It wasn't too terribly long considering how many states I had in there. So there was 10. Let's see if you guessed. Now, there's a lot of states that look very similar, but hopefully I put enough, there's enough of differences in them that you might have been able to guess. Let's hope. Okay, number 1 was Oregon. Yes, as I'm leaving. Number 2 was Utah. So you're starting to get into some mountains. Utah also has a lot of red rock. So if you think of some of the national parks like Arches, Zion, all that, they have a lot of red rock down there. The next one, number 3, was Wyoming. So you're getting into, you know, Utah starts with some Rocky Mountains, but Wyoming's got a lot of hills and plateaus and some, you know, you're getting into some more elevation going over the Rockies there. Number 4 was Wisconsin. Tried to include a like barn, farm. Yeah. Number 5, is that it? 1, 2, 3, 5, Minnesota. So I had some lakes in there. 6 was North Dakota. A lot of flat land. That first image of the sculpture that looks like eyes and whatnot, it's actually got some geese on there, so it's kind of considered flying geese. That is the start. You can pull off and go on this other road called the Enchanted Highway. It's this guy who did a whole bunch of these different types of sculptures like this, these metal ones. All free, just stop off the road and look at them. I can't remember how many there are, if there's like 10 of them or more. We did that one time years and years ago when my kids were younger. We did stop and go on that road and saw, I think, all of them. The next state was Montana. So including a little bit more mountains in that. The next one is Idaho. I did not include because I do go through Idaho in the southern part of the state when I went out there on the way out. It's a little bit of different landscape. It's more high desert down in the southern part, and the northern part is a little bit more of the mountains. The number 9 was Washington. It's a little deceiving because Washington is also known as the Evergreen State. No evergreens out there. Again, you're dealing with more of the high desert type of area. Oregon is the same way. On a central, a little bit eastern Oregon, you're dealing with a little bit more of a high desert type of situation. So it's just the grass fields, the farm fields, as well as, you know, the wind blows a bit there. So you get more on the western part and you get a lot more trees. And then number 10, the last one, was Oregon again. So we're going through the Columbia River Gorge for most of that, and then coming down into Portland. So I hope you enjoyed that little fun game. In case you're wanting to know if anybody's kind of trying to figure out how far I drove, I did keep track of the mileage. So start as well as when I stopped in Iowa, and because I kind of wanted to see how long it was taking me there, and then the total. So total came out to be 5,229 miles. So that included some of the driving while I was in Ohio to get from my Airbnb to the convention center, which wasn't that far, and whatever little errands I might have ran where I was, you know, going to places within the little, not far, just kind of running around in that area. Obviously, I had to make some of those detours in some of those states, so that added a little bit of miles. But overall, that's what it ended up coming to be. My little car, my little Fiat, made it just fine. I had serviced it, maintained it, and everything before I went, so I knew that it was as good as it could be. It does have quite a few miles on it, so that was, I think, what was bothering, you know, my husband was worried about. It's like, your car has so many miles on it already, and you're doing this, and it was fine. It was just fine. Okay, so I wanted to mention a couple of the camping places that I did. Most of them were just typical campgrounds. 2 of them were supposed to be KOAs. I did stay in one of the KOAs. So if you're familiar with camping, you know what those are like. I had to, forgo one of them in Des Moines, or just outside of Des Moines, because it was like major stormy type of weather, raining hard, hard, hard. The wind was just blowing like crazy. So there was no way I would have been able to set my tent up. No way. So they were they actually called me and asked me if I was coming. And I said, well, I'm about 20 miles from your campsite, and there's just no way. So I'm getting a hotel, and they were gracious enough to refund my money, which they did not have to do at the last minute. You normally have to give them enough advance notice for them to refund you your money, and so they were very kind, and they did that. So that I stayed at just this little campground in Idaho as I was leaving, going out. That was the first night. That was frustrating because it was right next to this 4-lane road. I was about 50 feet from that where my tent site was. There was a fence, but it was a very busy road even throughout the night. So semis were going down it. Noisy, very, very noisy. Yeah, that wasn't fun. The other place that I stayed at that was kind of a normal typical type of campground was in North Dakota. It was right next to the Theodore Roosevelt National Park. So you've probably heard of the Badlands in South Dakota, which is near Mount Rushmore. It's a little bit east of that area. North Dakota has some too, and that's what the Theodore and Roosevelt Park is. I stayed in a campground just on the border of that park, so it wasn't actually part of the park, but it was right on the edge. So it was fine. I mean, it had more ants than I would prefer to deal with. I didn't really care for that, but that wasn't too bad. Up the road just about 5 miles was this scenic overlook, so you could look down into it. You can drive through it, but it's like a 20-mile loop or something like that. And I feel like this scenic overlook, which is free, normally you have to pay to go into the park, but this overlook was free, and I feel like you get a much better view. And some of the pictures of the North Dakota montage was part of that. So I felt it was much better to see the view of the park that way. The other bad thing about that particular park is that as I'd already set up, I had gone and looked at the overlook because I wanted to get my campsite set up beforehand. Came back, and I was going to actually take a shower that night, was gathering my stuff together, and here I see 2 employees with these big long sticks holding them out like this, and they're carrying this ginormous snake. Yeah, snake. This thing probably was like 4 feet long, and so they were holding it out on the sticks as they were carrying it. And they were probably about 4 campsites down from where I was. And so I hollered down there. I'm like, what kind of snake is that? Because I can't imagine they would have been carrying a rattlesnake like that. That's just too dangerous. They would have called somebody. It turned out to be a bull snake, so they're harmless to humans. It's not like they're venomous or anything like that, but it was a big snake. I was not happy about that. So they were taking it off somewhere away from the campground, down closer to the river that we were kind of by. And oh my gosh. And I did have in mind to go ask them about rattlesnakes. So I was walking down there, and there was already 2 other ladies down there. And so I heard them talking with them, and basically overheard the answer to my question is, yes, they do have rattlesnakes, but they don't see them very often. So they don't have to deal with them that much. So yeah, thank goodness. So the places that I wanted to mention besides those were, it's the campgrounds, and it's associated with this thing called Hip Camp, HIPCAMP, Hip Camp. There's places all over the place for these. They're very primitive, I think. Some may be more primitive than others. And very unique places to stay. So one of them I did was in Nebraska. That was the first one. Basically, it's somebody's pasture. They do have a fire ring type thing set up. So you can be camped around that. The facilities was basically a porta potty, as well as the water was over by that area, and it was a bit of a walk to get to it. Um, yeah, it wasn't the greatest of setups for that. And I did not realize I was going to have to drive through somebody's pasture. And I've got this little Fiat. So that was interesting. I made it. There were a couple of holes in the parts that you drive on because you could tell it was where you're supposed to drive. It wasn't like it was gravel or anything like that. But yeah, that was interesting. That was interesting. So got my stuff over there and I was able to get set up. The gal who let me in, she was showing me showing me around, but there's also a couple horses that are part of their property. Very nice, very lovely horses. They, you know, friendly. They were friendly for sure. But eventually they went off and did their own thing in the pasture. One was called Tigger. It was a girl. I'm not sure why they picked Tigger for her. The other one was called Lightning. Lightning had a little bit of issues where he gets a little shy around having somebody touch his face, so he didn't really like that much. But he was fine to be around. You could pet his shoulder and his chest, and then maybe work your way up his neck and kind of pet the side of his face. But I don't know if he had some trauma in the past where people doing stuff around his face, his head, and so he's a little gun shy about that. They were lovely. Lightning was supposedly not the friendlier of the two, but he wanted to hang around me. So I've got some video of that area, pictures and whatnot, and I'm going to show you those real quick. My friends for the night. Lightning thinks that I should share my chips with him. He keeps trying to share my dinner and my chips and everything. It's very difficult to make my food because he keeps wanting to share. And you have to be careful around his head because he gets shy with hand movement, so you can't really pet his head. So, yeah, he's back here. He thinks he's going to share with me. Uh-huh. He's going to try and be sneaky. The woman who showed me this, where my site was, gave me some horse treats that I fed to them, and now they won't leave me alone. The second place that I stayed at that was part of this hip camp group association, these are all individually owned places, but somehow they're part of this group that you can rent space from, was in Montana. It's just like the outskirts of Missoula. So you're in the mountains. Gorgeous. Again, primitive. You had to drive. Now this place, at least, it had like a dirt. It started off more of a dirt path, dirt drive, and then it had some gravel as you went up the hill. But the stuff that grows in the center was a little, it still kind of looks like grass, but it was some kind of plant, so I could hear it, running along the bottom of my car. Had to go up a bit of a hill, but I made it. This place was a little bit less primitive, but not by much. Each site was supposed to have some kind of table. They did have like a fire ring there. You could do a fire pit, have a fire, campfire if you wanted to. The facilities was a pit toilet instead of the porta potty, so a little bit better. Still had water you had to go get from kind of over in that area. It's not like each site has its own stuff. So yeah, it was also very, very lovely. Now, I forgot to mention, and I think I'll have to put it in this section. There were no wild animals that I had to deal with in Montana. So I did text her and ask, and she said no, maybe squirrels. And then she texts back and said, well, there have been some sightings of bears in town of Missoula. I'm like, oh great, that's not what I want to have to deal with. But I didn't have any problems, and I didn't feel like there was going to be any problems. Now, there was some scary moments in Nebraska, though, and she had told me that there were coyotes, but they won't bother you, yada, yada. And I'm thinking, okay. As it was just starting to get dark, I could hear some coyotes. They were pretty far away. I could tell that they were far away, but I could hear them very faintly. About less than an hour later, I could hear some again, and they were on the other side of me this time, and they were closer. You could clearly hear them. I recorded it. It's just dark, so you wouldn't see anything because it is now dark outside as well as inside my tent. You could clearly hear them. Now, I know out in the open, everything sounds much closer than it is, but it still freaked me out. The spot in Montana, the wind was blowing pretty good. Now, Nebraska, it was blowing, but it wasn't quite as hard. I was still able to get my tents up. With the Montana one, I knew kind of what order to do things in so things wouldn't get blown away from me, and then keep them, anchored down correctly. By the evening, though, when you're talking about 9 o'clock, the wind would just die down. And that's normal. It's just because the heating of the earth when the sun is out creates more of this wind. And so when the sun goes down, things tend to die down. While I was in Nebraska, and it had died down, and I heard those coyotes. At some point after that, I don't know how much longer, I could hear something almost sounded like, and I thought, oh my gosh, the coyotes are right there at my tent and they're messing with it. Scared me to death. Just scared me. But at some point I realized, the cowboys used to lay out in nothing, a sleeping bag on the ground. The cowboys used to do that. And you know what else? The Lord is watching over me. I need to give it to the Lord, and I just went to sleep. So that, it turns out, I realized later that there was just the softest of breeze that would blow during the night and just kind of ruffle the tent to almost sound like something was kind of messing with it. So it turns out it was just the wind, just kind of slightly blowing and causing it to do that. And it did that in Montana too. Just the slight breeze, just enough to give it sounds like something is messing with it. But they weren't. It was just the wind. So I'm going to put in the Montana pictures and videos as well as the coyote video where you can hear them. Okay, wasn't that fun? So since we're talking about my trip and we're driving and why I went on this little experience, I think we're going to talk about StitchCon. I made this, I'll show you closer. I made this last year as a little nameplate because I know you wear your lanyard with your name on it, but sometimes, you've got things in the way and you're sitting down and nobody can see your name. So I made this last year. I brought it with me this year so I could put it up and people could see who I was, what my name was. So much going on. It's always a lovely time. It's always, always, always a lovely time. So let's see what we're going to talk about for this, because I'm just like organizing my thoughts. Um, I had, I probably talked to her. I don't know if I officially went up and introduced myself or whatever, but I had seen Liz Matthews last year. Um, she was there again the same weekend that I was there this year. So I ended up going and saying hi, and I got a picture with her because I had bought one of her patterns, which I will show you when I get my purchases out. So I took a picture with her. I also bought another pattern from someone, Sylvia. I can't remember her last name. She designed a pattern called Beloved or Beloved. Love it. I love the verse that it references and everything. Um, so I got a picture with her. I have both of those ladies sign my chart that I had bought. There's also another little gal. So there's a woman, Black Cat Stitchery, who was selling bags in the annex, and she brought her daughters with her. And one of her daughters, they came over one of the days and said, you know, trying to find me, and said that her daughter really, really loved my StitchCon piece that I had done last year. So I brought it with me. So bringing stuff for the brag table, that was one of the things. And I'd made kind of a shadow box with that piece in the center of it. It was kind of bumped out with some wood. And then a whole bunch of other things around it. So I had a fireplace. I had a chair in front of it with a little knitted blanket. I had books on the mantle. I had a little teeny tiny Christmas tree on the mantle. I had some fall foliage. All this stuff was stuff that our stitching group, those were favorite things of theirs. So I had a little, on a wire, a little Tinkerbell kind of flying up in the air, because Tinkerbell is something I really like. Somebody likes gnomes, so I had a little gnome in there. And then all the other stuff, fall, Christmas, books, the fireplace, all that. They like that stuff, so that's why I made it that way. And so she had come over and said she really, really liked it, and I thought it was so sweet of her that I got permission from Mom. I said, can I take a picture with her? So I got a picture with her, and I can't remember the little girl's name. I'm so sorry if you know her or she's watching. I'm really, really sorry I didn't get your name. But yeah, it was really sweet of her to do that. So I wanted to get a picture with her. A couple other pictures that we did while we were there was, there was a group picture of everybody who had done that piece. So it was for last year. It said StitchCon at the top. It says where friends gather. Can't remember everything it said. It had the picture of that, stitch of the house for keepsakes. It had 310, the cat, but I put something else in that place. It had the Stitchy bus, all kinds of stuff. So we had a big group picture of everybody who brought theirs that had done that. And so big group picture. Now it's a screenshot of somebody's that I'm getting bit by ants. So it's a screenshot. So I don't have I didn't take a photo off of my phone. So it's gonna look, it's in portrait mode, and you can clearly tell it's a screenshot. The other picture, and again, the same situation, it's a screenshot, is they had us kind of all stand on the stairs as you kind of come down that half flight into the main room, the main stitching room, of everybody who was there that was a Flosstuber. So that was kind of fun. I got to be in on that, so I'll put a picture of that in as well. So I'm going to put those people that I took pictures with as well as that. The other thing I'll include real quick is the photo of our stitching table. So there was one gal who we ended up sitting with that wasn't normally part of our group. She was there alone. By the time we got in there, and we were not really far down the line, there was no tables that were empty. So there's at least one person at every table. So we ended up sitting with her. Her name was Teresa, very nice lady. The other person that was new was Nora's mom. She came. She kind of ended up taking Jody's place because Jody could not come. very sad. She has to kind of save up her vacation time because her son's getting married, and just didn't have the extra time to come for StitchCon. So a couple new faces in our group, so I will include that, as well as I think I got a picture with just Teresa and I think that was kind of fun, just her and I took a picture. If there's any other group pictures or people I took pictures with, I will include those as well. Okay, time for some smalls exchange stuff. So I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to do a smalls exchange because I just had a lot going on with the yard, with work, with the other stitchy pieces that I was trying to get done. I just didn't know if I was going to have time. And the only saving grace was I had this thing stitched but not put together yet. So I ended up making this itty bitty teeny tiny pumpkin. So the parts were stitched. I just had to sew them together, stuff them, put the stem on. I did make some pins that would go in them. And I mean, it was little, it was itty bitty. It was about this big. And I think the picture that she's holding it, I'll put a picture in of it before I left, so you can kind of see a close up of it. And then the gal who received it, just this teeny tiny little pumpkin. It was so cute. So I'm going to put that in here. It was cute. Now, the thing I didn't mention, the stem is an actual real pumpkin stem. So last fall, I had gotten some small, just, the little hand ones, as well as some bigger pumpkins, and I had taken the stems off, and they've been drying this whole time. And so what I did is I kind of cleaned it up, had to use a little Dremel to clean up some of the areas, and then I drilled in a couple of holes, because these, believe it or not, if you didn't know this, those stems are hard. They're very hard. So drilled in a couple of very thin little holes, and I stitched that stem to that pumpkin. So that's what I ended up doing for that. Now, the one that I received, I ended up picking this bag. It's a lovely card to go with it. And I don't remember the gal's name who received mine, but this one was from, Candy Carpenter. She was sitting literally at the next table next to us. I ended up getting hers. And it was kind of funny afterwards. She came over and asked me, so which numbered group were you in within your group? And I said I was the first group that got called. And she was very happy to realize that I picked hers. It wasn't like some of the last group and nobody had really much of a choice. I said, no, I was in the first group, and that's what I picked. And she did such a lovely, oh my gosh, lovely piece. Isn't this fabulous? I'll show you up close. She did such a nice job. And these are pins. These little bees are pins. So there's 3 of them. It's got this like chenille top. And then there's this for the back. She said she hasn't done a pillow before. I think she did a fabulous job. Absolutely fabulous. And this was not the only thing. I did not do a lot of extras with my gift this year that I gave. I did a needle minder that went with it, but that was it because I just didn't have time. Last year I did a ton, but I just didn't have time. But that's okay. So some of the other things that she gave me were these bee floss drops. This little tin. It doesn't have anything in it. It's not one of the magnetic ones. It's just empty. But this really cute tin. This, oh my gosh, this thing is so cute. It's a tape measure. Is that cute or what? Oh, that was from something else. She also gave me this pattern. So this is done by Primrose Cottage Stitches. So, and the title is Be Happy. She included the floss. She's like, I'm so sorry I didn't include the fabric, but I didn't include the floss. I'm like, this is far more than you needed to do. Far more. And then this ginormous needle minder, or whatever you want to call it. Look at the magnet on the back of that sucker. It's so big. But it's lovely. It's just lovely. So she went above and beyond the things that she needed to give me. I'm telling you right now. She just did a fabulous job, and I love it. Love it. Love it. Let's see. Is there anything? Oh, so I will put a picture in of her with me after getting this. I also have some pictures of some of the things that other people received. You know, after you open yours, you can go put it on the table for everybody to look at. So I went and took some pictures. Not nearly all the things. I just picked some and took pictures of them. So I will put those in here, and that way you can see some of the goodies that some people received. One other thing that she gave me in my my little gift for the smalls was bit of honey. I love this stuff, and clearly it is all gone. Long gone. I was eating that on the trip, so that, I mean, I ate some there, but I was eating that on the trip. But yeah, I love bit of honey. So yummy. Okay, so some purchases. I wanted to show you some things that I ended up getting there. Now, for StitchCon, the things they gave us this year with this really nice felt bag. So it's pretty big. It's got a nice bottom to it. This is bigger than the bag they gave us last year. Last year it was kind of a canvas type bag. It was nice, but this is wider, so it fit your project bags in here a little bit better. The other thing, they gave us a cross stitch magazine, and it's current. It's for the June of this year. And then they gave us this, it's a coaster. So it's that like ceramic type of stuff with the cork on the bottom. So it's good and hefty. So those are the things they gave us. Now, the things that I purchased, and I'll get to some of the freebies in a minute. So I ended up getting this. So this is From the Heart Needlework by Wendy, not me. Quaker Bees. So it's got kind of the Quaker designs around it. And then I ended up getting the floss to go with it. So there's some of the lovely floss that you stitch with it. So I got that. Trying to skip some of this. Now, if you don't know this, when you go to Keepsakes, they have a lot of freebie charts all over the store. So if you see pieces of paper, and this stuff is pretty thick paper. It's not, I don't know if it's considered cardstock or not, but it's pretty hefty duty. So even something like this, it's, I mean, and they're free. You get to take them you don't have to buy anything. So some of this I got at Keepsakes and some I got at the Annex. So here's the next one. There's a whole bunch of things. I'm going to let you see these a little closer up. I really wanted the one, this, but it comes with all these, and I like that. I mean, it's fine. I like all of these. It's not going to be a problem to have all these. So Proud to Be an American by Jordan Nicole and Jamie Benson. I believe that's who that's from. Something else was this cutie, this little patriotic mouse. That is Patriotic Matilda. Don't forget the floss. Finally a farm girl is the who did that. Oh my gosh. Is this me or what? This is called Happy Campers. It's a Janine McGowan. That's adorable. That was a very, very popular pattern. A lot of people were getting this. I'm not sure if I'm going to put the RVs in there or if I'm going to try and change them to something else. I don't know if I can do it. Some tents or something, because I don't do RVs. I do tents. I got this. This is one of those. This is the 5th Day of Christmas by Hello by Liz Matthews. I have 2 of the ones. I've done one already. I've completed one and made it into a tree. So I wanted to have like 3, because usually, you know, when you have the odd numbers, it's supposed to be a little more aesthetic. I got this because I really, really like these balls. These really cute balls with them cross stitching. So something simple there. Also, another simple one was this. So these are a little bit different than the normal sled designs. And these might be, no, these are the small ones. I know you can get sleds that are slightly bigger, but I think these are the small ones. So got that. Now this was there last year, but I did not get it. And it was this one. So the Sams, I guess is what they call them. Sams and Stripes by Vicki Hastings. So what they had done last year, and like I said, I didn't get it, is that they had done it, this part was filled. Okay, so they had put this in here. So, and it's like rulers. So cool. So I am going to do that. And the 2 things that I got that I had mentioned already from the ladies who I got their autographs for, this Beloved. So let me see if I can find her name on here. Oh, it's not on here. That's right. I was trying to figure out who it was, and she doesn't have her name on here. It's Running with Needles and Scissors is her company name. So it's Sylvia. I just don't remember her last name. I've got it somewhere. But it's got, the letters are specialty stitches. They're not just X's. Smear crosses, I think, is what they are. I don't know if there's any others. So this pattern, as well as the one I'm going to show you, both called for the same colored fabric, which is amazing. I'm kind of surprised. They didn't have it, either Keepsakes or the Annex. So I decided to go something slightly different. This is kind of a slightly greenish color. It's kind of matches the leaves down there, so it will look lovely together. So that's what I'm going to use instead. I am going to, it does call for it on 46 count is what they did on the sample, and they did have the sample there. It was just gorgeous. I'm doing it on 40. I don't want to do anything smaller holes than 40. 40 is bad enough for me anyway. So I will do that. And I did mention that it is associated with a verse. It's from Song of Solomon. It says, I am my beloved's, and my beloved is mine. He grazes among the lilies. So that is what that is part of. So did that. And then I'm going to open this because I got to get stuff out of it. The Liz Matthew one, Autumn Cloche. So gorgeous. And they did have that stitched in there so you could see it. Again, I know it's hard to tell, but this called for the same fabric. It doesn't really look like it, but it did. And again, I couldn't find it. So I was constantly taking fabric from the Annex and going up to the models and setting it next to it to see if I could find color that would work that I liked. So this is what I'm going to use. It's more of a gray. It's not a dark gray, because I did find some grays and I'm like, that just seems too dark, because you know, you've got some black down here and I want that to show up. So that is what I'm going to use instead. This one called for a 40 count, so it's not 46, so it's slightly different. It's the same color. The call for was the same color fabric, but not the same count fabric. This one is, I want to say, yeah, this one is 40. So it'll be the same as what was shown in the stitch piece. So for the size anyways. So those were lovely. I can't wait to get started on those. What I wanted to show you real quick is some, well, kind of some freebies. Somebody was coming around and gave us these. They're stickers. Yeah. Yeah. It's not hoarding. It's really not. If it's cross stitch. Yes. That came from the deliciousthreads.com, which is very sweet. The other thing is, you know, the freebie table. If you wanted to bring stuff, which I completely forgot about, and I didn't take anything for the freebie table, but I did find something. This cute little guy, and it comes with everything if you want to use it. Yeah, so cute. That. The other thing, and I don't know that I'm going to take a bunch of this out, all the freebies from people. Lots and lots of things. I actually got this little bag from the freebie table, and it was perfect for all this stuff. So I got, you know, these kinds of things. Okay, so last year we got kind of an even amount of needle minders as well as floss drops. I'm not sure, maybe more floss drops. So that kind of was the thing. This year, the thing that people were passing out were these. I don't watch enough Flosstube to see people using this, and I didn't even know this was a thing. But apparently this is kind of like, you know, to clean up your fabric, get the spare threads that might be hanging around. So we got a bunch of these, a bunch. So that was kind of the thing. Somebody was kind enough to give out some wax, some beeswax. That was very nice. That was from Margaret Hay. And we did get some floss drops. Somebody, let's see if there was other things. Trying to see in my little baggie. Somebody was nice enough. They gave us this whole little thing. So it's got this cute frog with a seam ripper. And the little nail file and a mint. That was from Mary Lang and April Skipper. So sweet, so sweet. Oh, forgot about this because I shoved it in this bag. So this was part of what we got in our StitchCon bag. This. Nobody knew what these things were. Somebody ended up telling somebody, and eventually got passed around, and you found out what it was. These are to clean your glasses. Stick your lenses in here, these soft little pads, and you just rub up and clean your glasses. Is that cool or what? Yes, love that. Okay, so I'm not going to show you all that stuff because it's this video is long enough. You get the idea of what is in there. Okay, I have been putting in a section in my videos lately of books because I'm trying to read more books this year because I've kind of gotten away from it, and I love reading books, but just don't always have the time. So the last thing I had showed you was that I had started getting in on a book club. So it's called Once Upon a Book Club. So once a month they send you a book as well as some gifts that you open as you get to these pages. So the book that they had sent us in May was this. I really like it. It's about three friends and kind of their friendship, how it kind of got started, but it just kind of shows you, you know, being close with friends and some of the happiness as well as turmoil that can happen. You know, you can be really, really close friends and you can still screw up. And kind of how you get through that. Okay. So a lot of fun. There's in each book group, you know, each thing that they send you for the month, there's 3 gifts. And it will come, I kept all of them. So on the pages, it will tell you when to open which gift. And these were from the pages. They're not in here. They would be in, you know, each page. One separate thing was this, when you got to a certain page, they were playing a game and somebody started singing We Are the Champions. And so when you scan that, it goes to that song. So that was kind of fun. So I'm going to show you some of the gifts that they gave us. one of the times in one of their, when they got together to go somewhere, they went to a bookstore. So, because one of them's a book lover, they sent, one of them was this. I've actually read this book. It's a nice story. I've read several of her, Ellery Adams. I've read several of hers. So this is good. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. I should like give it as a like a freebie giveaway for this channel. So if you're interested in this and you want to read this, let me know. I might just send this to you. Because I either have the book or I've read it. I can't remember which one I did. Another thing they sent us was this really nice towel, like a beach towel type thing. It's just nice. It's nice. And it's huge. I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on and on and on. So, nice big towel. And I will definitely use it for like the beach or something. And another fun thing is they sent us this. Think of your happy place. So, fun, fun, fun. Yes. So those are the goodies that I got with that book. And they have sent us, I think I got it, I might have got it like the day before I left. And there was just no way that I was going to be able to take it and read and all that kind of stuff. So this is the book for this month, for June. I have not started yet. I need to. And I will. So got that. So this, so see, says page 257, and when I get to page 257 it will have one of those little post-it notes to remind you, open this gift now. So got that. There is this little guy, and then there's this. So those were the things that I will have to open as I get to them. It makes it so exciting, so exciting. Okay, the other thing I wanted to show you real quick was, I just got this because I just saw it at work and I really, really like it, is this, Seeing God in America. This is 100 devotions from states, all the states. So since there's 100, you would think, oh, there's 2 devotions for each state. Not exactly, because there is Washington, D.C. in here. And I don't know if there's something else so that, you know, maybe all but one state gets mentioned twice. I don't know for sure. But a lot of them have pictures that kind of talk about, when you talk about those places, a lot of places I have been to. So it's kind of fun going, seeing that. I wanted to show you, where is it? Oh, I'm probably not going to be able to find it. It was one of the places that I drove by when I was on my little camping journey. There it is. When I went to Nebraska, as I mentioned, I had to veer off of the highway, the main interstate, and go to this camping spot. If I had not done that, I would not have passed this place as I was leaving the next day to get back down. You know, it's not the same route you take to get up, but you kind of angle down. I would not have passed by this place. And that is Chimney Rock. This is part of the Oregon Trail landmark. It's one of the landmarks. I'm not going to read through all of this, but I passed right by it. I did not have time to stop at all of these, you know, at different places that would have been fun to stop at. But, yeah. And I tried to take a picture, but they didn't turn out real well. It's time for a drink. So that's kind of an interesting little book in case you might want it. It's from Hallmark. It says Hallmark right there. So that is, if you're interested in getting it, it's just kind of nice to how they put in perspective of scripture and how you can kind of think of stuff. So like the first day talks about Kansas City, Missouri. It's a city of fountains, and living water will pour into me and overflow if I keep the tap on, referring to the Lord, letting the Lord work through me. So it's just kind of neat because it talks about those places and kind of incorporates it into kind of a little daily devotion type of thing. Alrighty. I am going to show you how my garden is doing, my vegetable garden. I showed you kind of how it had started, and I'd gotten some plants in there, and yeah, it's kind of gotten a little crazy now. The only thing that I didn't put in there, because it just wasn't a visual and I did forgot to show it, is the lettuce. The lettuce is a cool weather plant. Not that you probably can't grow it when it's warm, but it does better when it's cool. So I had put in a row of seeds for the lettuce when I first started the garden. Eventually they grew up and we were able to pluck them out a little at a time and take some and eat it and use it. And eventually I got half of that row completely taken out, and then I reseeded, and some of those are just kind of starting to come up. They're not real tall. And then I eventually took out, when I got back from my trip, I took the rest of it out and I reseeded that. And so I hopefully will have different growing, because the whole row is too much. For them to ripen and be mature all at the same time was too much lettuce. I gave some away, but hopefully half of a little row would be enough. But I'm going to put that in here so you can see how well it's doing now. Here is the garden update. It is just going crazy. It's lovely. I need to get out here and pick a little bit more of the stuff. I will show you around a bit. The onions are doing well. I was a little concerned because they seemed like they were trying to die out, but they're not doing too bad. The carrots have just exploded. So they are not to full size. So let me see if I can find one that I can thin out. So as I come out and I thin them out, so here's one. That's a pretty good size one. I've had much smaller ones that we've just eaten as little baby carrots. And obviously those will get much bigger, but yeah, so far they're growing like crazy. There's gonna be a lot. We have cucumbers here. Let me see. We got a lot of blossoms and stuff in there. If you can see those, get it to focus. I don't know if oh, there's some that are starting to grow right here. There's one. So starting to grow. That is a pepper plant. It's about to get noisy out here because of the kids. So I don't know how many of those are going to bloom into, I mean, it looks like that might become a pepper and that and such. Peas are doing great. You can see I've already eaten some of those. Tomato plants. I've got two different kinds. Sorry for that. Let's get that out of the way. I've got two different kinds. These are like the little, small ones, the little mini ones. So those are I'm starting to see them. These are going to be more like the regular size ones. I see blooms and stuff, but I don't see any fruit from it yet. So we'll see what happens with that one. I've got beans over here, so you can start to see some. A lot of flowering going on, but I haven't gotten any off of there yet. The zucchini. The zucchini is going crazy. Oh my gosh. So lots and lots. Lots of flowering. You can see right here. Here is a zucchini. I don't know how well you can see how big it is. It's a pretty good size. Probably getting close to, I probably could pick it now if I wanted a small one. There's several inside of here that are growing as well. I don't know how well the light is playing havoc on seeing that. So we're getting quite a bit. So that is very, very nice. My idea of using this to have like the beans and the peas and whatnot grow up, and it would have been nice to have the cucumbers and the zucchini be able to grow up on those as well. Not working out so well. It's just they're not growing up. They weren't growing as fast as I wanted to, so I could train them to grow up. They are a little bit. You can see the cucumber is kind of starting to wrap around this a bit. The peas just aren't getting as tall as I thought they would, nor the beans. I mean, they're growing fine. That one's a little sad though. Anyway, they're just not growing as fast or as tall as I thought they would, so they're not getting up there to grow onto. They're growing up around the poles because I tie them up and make sure that they keep going up. But yeah, that is the progress of the garden so far. So, as you can see, it's doing very well. They like it over there. And hopefully the rest of the stuff will mature and I'll be able to harvest stuff from it. The only thing I'm a little worried about is peppers. I've never done well at trying to grow peppers. Now, Minnesota is even a cooler climate than we are here, so I really had a terrible time, and I would get like little teeny tiny, I mean, they're just little itty bitty tiny things. So hopefully I will get some here and they'll be bigger than that, but I'm not real hopeful because the plant doesn't look that big, and I don't know. We'll see. The next thing I wanted to show you, which I've been showing you lately, is some planner pages. Now, these are going to be for June. And yes, I realize June is more than halfway over, but as I've talked about in all things, you can always use these ideas for other months. Most of them aren't necessarily a holiday. I am probably not going to be able to show you anything for July because I don't have it ready yet. And I also, by the time I film next, July will be good and gone. So I don't know. I may film some just so you can, I'll have a double batch of like July and August so you can see that next time. I don't know. A dove just landed over by my pond. Very pretty. The birds love the pond, though I have drained a lot of it out because I was trying to clean it, but I'm also going to work on it. We'll get to that in a minute. Anyway, I'm going to put those videos for the planner pages in now. Hello, and welcome to the planner part of the video. I know that you will be seeing this probably towards the end of June, and June will be over for the most part, but most of the pages are not specific to like a holiday or something that has to be happening in June. You can use these ideas for anything that you want. As a side note, I don't know if you can kind of tell, I have covered up the things that are written in these boxes because, some of this stuff I usually show you my pages before I write in them for personal things, and that way you're just getting the idea of what a page design looks like and not necessarily what I'm doing during those weeks. So that is why you're seeing these covered up, if you can notice that they are. So as you can see, this is a travel page. I am getting ready to head off on a very long drive. I am going to StitchCon and I'm going to be driving. I think I've probably mentioned it in some other videos, but if you didn't know that, that's what I'm going to be doing. It's a very long route. I have no idea how many miles it is. It's not going to be surprising if it's over 2,000 miles one way. So I am putting stuff in here. Now, I don't leave until the 4th. So I've got this whole week where I'm going to need to be putting information in here for planning purposes, as well as just things that, I'm going to be doing just in general. So lots of things I'll probably need to write down. So I'm going to show you the things that I've used, and that way if you're interested in finding these, then you can. Some kind of fun things, so you don't always have to have things just vertical up and down. So on the sides here and here and here, because I just didn't have a lot of room, I wanted to save this in case I needed to write stuff, is kind of what I'm using those boxes for. So starting a packing list, more packing lists. If it's not on the list, it's not getting packed or going. So kind of fun things like that you can do, turn things on their sides and write on your pages for descriptions of things. All right, so here's some of the things that I've used. This is, obviously you can't tell much. The big part here, that was that. But I will flip through and you can kind of see lots of different kinds of travel type things in here. So this is a recollections. Another thing that I just used this part for was also recollections. It's this whole thing, mostly for camping, hiking, exploring type of thing, but I did use this camper. I end up using this in another place, not in this planner, and I will save some of this. Oh, and I I think I ended up using that in my other small planner, and I will save some of these for when I do a camping trip as well. So it's not like I only used this one thing for this page. So those are pretty big though. Just keep that in mind because they do take up a lot of space, as you can see. And the final thing that I'm going to show you is this. It's also recollections. Everything happened to be recollections. It is all of the states. Kind of a little bit of some graphics on there, so it's not just saying their state and whatnot. And I have sprinkled those throughout this page. I have put all of the states that I will be driving through, whether it's on the way there or on the way back. So lots and lots and lots of driving and places that I will be going through. So yeah, lots of different ways to use this. As this little side note, you can see that this little post here has some little signs on it. That came in the book, that just like that. This one did not. This is something that I just made because I wanted something else to kind of fill up this side, and then I could use this idea. So I just cut a piece of paper, and there's a whole bunch of these small little rectangle pieces, some with arrows, some not, and I just made my own little signpost. So keep in mind you can do that. The boxes that I've used throughout here were from various places, wherever I could find the most colorful boxes. So it was kind of a kaleidoscope of different places that I got boxes. So I'm not even going to show you where I got that. The next week is nothing because I'm going to be gone and I'm not going to have this planner with me. There is no point in having that. This is when I come back. So I will be home for these days. I will be traveling for these days. I am not going to, do the whole thing for both sides. So I just did the one side. I used a couple of Amber Plans Her Day. Okay, so these are different sticker packs that she does. I'm trying to see. Actually, I think I just used the one pack. I'm gonna show you another one that I used of hers. And this is the Boujou Essentials Naturals. So it has a whole bunch of these, and then that's the page I used. And then these pages so that you have boxes to go with them. Here's a few other things. I'm just going to flip through these real quick so you can kind of see all what's in here, and I'm not wasting too much time. So lots and lots of neutral type of things. So that is what this is, all of these, and of course then the boxes with the kind of squiggly lines to emphasize that. The other thing that I ended up using was this washi tape. So this is from the washi tape shop. And that I just filled this whole side here. I just tore the edge on one of it. So I just took one edge and just ripped all the way down it. So it had an uneven edge on it. And then the other things that I used for accents, and I've showed you these before if you've watched my planner parts, is these little things. Okay. It doesn't really show you a very good picture of what's in them. These are more the squares with the natural floral type of things in them, and then these are more of the cutout images, again a little more natural look to them, like here and here and here. So I wanted that kind of coloring, and so these worked perfect for that. So I used that as well on that page. I just wanted something simple because by the time I get back I'm probably just going to want to chill as much as I can, and I didn't want this to be like overdone. All right, next page is this lovely blue and brown. Okay, so this is the other Amber Plans Her Day pack that I used. So Rainbow Florals Collection. And it's not just florals, which Happy Planner has a lot of floral books. But the difference for these, so for example, here is one more pink and reddish. So you get that, and then you get the boxes to go with it. That's those colors. So, and then of course you've got dots and things you can make lists. It also comes with sayings. I'll turn it this way so you can see. I believe I've used this on another page, but I don't remember which month it was for. So those can be added as well. Different color, and as it says floral, so there's orange, Then we have yellows, and there's greens. I'm going to get to the blues because that's what I use. Purple is the one I've used before, and I probably showed you that. And then kind of another mixture color, pinkish kind of color vibe. And I think there's one more. Oh, this is what I have used before. This page is, so it has individual little strips. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this with one hand. I don't think so. So it comes off like that. So I've used it in something else, but I don't remember what. All right, let's go back to the blue. So there is the blue florals that I have used in here. These are on clear stickers. Okay, and there's the blue boxes and the blue words for this. So these are on clear, which I like having that option of clear because I just do. But in this case, a lot of it was going to be going over things. And I didn't want that to show through. Okay, for example. So I mounted almost all of my stickers on white paper and then cut around them. It's tedious and it takes a while, but in this case, that's what I needed to do. The other thing I ended up using, so I'm going to see if I can set this over here, is this. So this is Live Love Posh. That's who makes this one, and it's blues. So lots, I mean, that's more purple, but lots of blue type of florals, and also as well as boxes and different things. So as you can see, this is more of green and pink. It's not going to have specific boxes for those, which is why the Amber Plans or Day Floral one was so nice. So there's another one, more blues and more boxes. I used some of these in this spread here. So like this big one is out of this book. I believe this one was probably out of this book. This floor over here was out of this book. So they worked well enough with each other that I could use them and coordinate them together. The other thing that I ended up using was some more washi tape. I've been wanting to use these, and so I finally did. It's books. So as you can see, it's got segmented pieces, so it just kind of cuts off every once in a while. So I just cut in those spots. And as you notice, each segment's slightly different. I mean, eventually they will repeat, but they're different. So then this is one. So you've got 3 different boxes that are different. So you got, all those, and then it starts to repeat over here again. Okay. So I have used those in various spots. I've seen, I think washi tape actually has video of how they've used these, and they do a far cuter job than I do. I also used this. This is also still the washi tape shop. It's so pretty, and I wanted to use it, and it does have some blue in it, so I went ahead and incorporated it. It's got some of the same types of deep coloring that was in these, so voila, it works. Some of it, like here, I cut around the leaves so I can show you that. I started cutting around it so I would have a different edge to it. I think that might be the only spot that I ended up doing it. So that is another option of things that you can do. The next page is this one. This, sorry for the helicopter noise going overhead. This is almost like a scrappy journal type of look to it. I used a lot of stuff with this. And what I started with was my inspiration was washi tape once again. So I have this, and I've used it here and here. So I didn't use a lot of it. And as you can see, this is not the full width. I tore some edges here. This has the straight edge on both sides, but I did not use the full width, as you can see. So I just used that as some little accent bits, but then this is what I really, really wanted to incorporate somehow. And notice there's 2 different size violins. So keep that in mind. It's got notes and flowers on it. So I've got it here. I've got it all the way across here. So that's what started my thought process on this, and then it just kind of went crazy from there. I got this paper pack, I think, I can't even remember if it was Hobby Lobby or Joann's. but it's got a lot of cool old-fashioned type of papers in it. Okay, so I ended up using this one, and that's what this is. Tore down the side, and then I also used some more of it, same page, just whatever was some left over, and used it over here. I happen to have left over this from something else. It was scrapbook paper, no big, little touch of it over here because it's got notes on it as well as floral, so it all fit in well. I have used these on different, that one's empty because I finally used all of it, and that was what this was, the ferns, the greenery. This is also from the washi tape shop, so you can see some of the things on the back. So the keys, this lamppost, so those were used out of that pack. I've used it in other places. I've got some butterflies in here. I'm trying to see if I used it for something else. I don't think I did for this one. And then this has got some flowers, some roses. So I've got roses on top of that. So it's not like I bought this just for this. I just happen to have this. So you can, you know, use your stuff. I used a little bit of this. Again, Live Love Posh. This is a Hello Spring. I got this last year, so it's not a new release. And I used that here. Wanted a little bit more. I had some, actually I think this green paper was also out of this book. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, right there. So there's 2 pages of all of the stuff that you find in here. So there's 2 pages of this, 2 pages of the green, 2 pages of everything. These words here were in one of those packs, one of these. So I just used those. And some of the boxes, like I said, I kind of got from a variety of places. Jojo Plans. It's also a person that I get stuff from, so you can see the name there. This is the monthly boxes. I'm not sure what 911 means, if that's how many boxes there are or if it's something else. This has a rainbow of boxes. All kinds of boxes. So I used a lot of this for the different plan pages in this month, including here. So the got a brown, a gray, and this is actually a maroon color. So ended up using those for a lot of the boxes. So I believe that's it, because we starting to get into July up here. I will flip through again as I usually do. So this is that. Here is this one. A lot of neutrals there. And then let me skip through those and get back to this. So I hope you enjoyed those. Again, like I said, they weren't specific for any kind of holidays that's coming up. This is obviously very specific for me, but any of these others you can use as your spread layout for any week you would like. Hope you enjoyed all that. Yeah, so hopefully you enjoyed that. Again, you can always skip through any parts of these videos that don't really apply or you're not interested in. What's to come? What's going on for me now that I'm home? As I just mentioned, I need to work on the pond. I am going to kind of revamp some of the rocks a little bit. I have a pump. So as soon as I get to working over there and where I can readjust some things and then get the pump in and the hose and everything, hopefully by the next video, you'll be able to see it working. Maybe we'll do a video next to the pond. First of all, we'll have to see how loud it is. It's not super loud, but when you shoot videos, it's kind of like the wind. The wind doesn't sound loud until you have it on video, and then it's obnoxious. So I need to work on that. Possibly working on the backyard with, you know, filling in little holes, reseeding. I don't know yet. I'm getting some siding redone on the back part of our house because we have a few spots with dry rot. That's always fun. Plus, there was a pellet stove that I took, we aren't going to use, we're taking out, and so the hole where the exhaust came out, they're going to patch over with, because I've just nailed boards over the top of it, over that hole, so they're going to replace that. They're also, because it has issues, We have like French doors off the back bedroom into the backyard. They're going to replace that. So all of that is going to get done at some point this summer. They came out and they looked everything and kind of did some measurements and then gave me an estimate. And then they said, well, we need to remeasure that door again just to make sure we have the exact measurements because we have to order that door and we need to make sure we have the right size. And so they did come out and do that while I was gone. And they said it was like 6 to 8 weeks before they would get the door. So I don't know how soon. I don't know at what point that siding will get done. And then of course I'm going to have to paint that part. But it'll look really nice because they're not only doing the door and fixing the siding, but there's an electrical outlet near the door they're going to kind of recess into the wood instead of the way it's set up now. So that'll be nice. That'll help. But yeah, I will have to do some painting. But I know there was some painting that I needed to touch up. There's some issues on the other side of the house. So yeah, it's stuff you just have to do. And then at the end of this month, as if I haven't done enough, I'm going camping. This is our church group that goes camping every summer. And so for like 5 days, at least this time, I'm not, I won't have to set up and then that same, within one day, the next morning, I'm putting it all back together and shoving it back into my car and going to the next place. It's like I get to set it up and leave it. So I'll be doing that. There's just be other things I need to, and hopefully I'm going to do this here in the next couple of days. I need to prune some trees, trim some trees. We have apple trees that line our driveway, and even though I did trim some, now that the apples are starting to get on there, they're weighing some of those branches down and they're going into the driveway. So you got to, normal maintenance things need to be taken care of. So there you go. This is a really long video. I already know it. I don't even know what the total running time is, but I know it's going to be long because I shoot this in segments and then I put it all together. Yeah. I hope you got some fun out of this and that it didn't drag on too much for you and that you got to enjoy the beautiful sunny day and yeah. Anyway, I better say goodbye because you all have things to do. I don't know when I'll do the next video, if it will be kind of more towards the end of August so that I get a little bit more than a month again. That's probably what I'll shoot for, but we'll see. Hopefully you have your little bell notification turned on and you know when my videos come out, and then you don't have to worry about trying to go back and remember to look for them. So with that, I'll say goodbye and we'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.